Welcome back to Rolling with Olin. I'm Jeff Olin, your host, for another great episode. I love my audience. Karola, this is Karola Raimond, everybody. This show is sponsored by Source and Cast, sourceandcast.com. For all you background actors out there who want to get a head start, check it out, sourceandcast.com. Karola Raimond is my guest today. She's an award-winning filmmaker and actress who grew up bilingual between Frankfurt, Germany, and New York City. She graduated with a Master's of Arts in Media Social Psychology, or actually Media Sociology and Social Psychology from Frankfurt University, while landing numerous roles on German television, right, and German dramas. Trained in ballet. I want to give the audience everything about you, my friend. Trained in ballet, martial arts, becoming a certified Kundalini yoga teacher, and an accomplished astrologer and a dear friend. Karola and I met about 15 years ago when she was trying to push a car on me. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, friends, meet Karola Raimond. Hi, Karola.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. Now I was just thinking while I was listening to you introducing me, I was like, everyone listening to it will be exhausted and be like, huh? What? Right. She's so many things. Yeah. She's like a hybrid.
They'll turn it off. Yeah. Oh, that's just too much.
Oh, but that's just too much. Oh my God, is she even human? She sounds like an alien.
All right, let's unpack all of this though. Let's start from your youth. Tell us about growing up in Frankfurt. Who were you when you were a little girl growing up?
Well, I remember going to a lot of demonstrations because my parents were both very politically active, and they were real hippies and, fighting for a better world. And so I remember it rains a lot in Frankfurt. So I was in my rubber boots and walking hours and hours, holding up signs and probably swearing, as I grow up, I'll never go to any more protests. I kind of feel karmically, I've done all of the protesting as a child. So, yeah. But in general, it was, I was always very creative, and I loved early on to kind of create my own, stories in all kinds of different, first it was the dolls, and then it was, my dad had a video camera, so then I would make him the DP, and I would get my friends over, and, I had a big trunk full of all kinds of, costumes and clothes that my mom gave me to play with for role play. And, I would put my friends in costumes and put wild makeup, and we would do, little video clips of, anything you could think of that'd be fun. Like, little news stories or, modern stories from the Brother Grimm. And yeah, just a lot of...
Well, you grew up an only child.
Yes, so I had a lot of imaginary friends,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, growing up as an only child, it's got to be different, right?
I definitely always wanted to have siblings. I was always pushing my mom. So where are my siblings? I mean, I really wanted to have an older brother, because I thought he could bring his friends, and then I could meet, cute boys. But that wouldn't work. It was already, I was the first. So either way, I wouldn't get an older brother. But it was definitely, I think it brought me closer to my parents because they were definitely also, very, they never gave me the feeling that they have everything figured out, so there was a lot of communication and a lot of transparency just about life. And when they went through things, I knew everything. There was no secrets and not sharing. So it was, I always said we were like the three musketeers, which brought me very close to my parents. I definitely, have a very close relationship with them.
It had to be different. But at about 15, 16 years old, you wanted to run away and go to New York to be in the industry, right? And what, a high school teacher said, no, don't do it?
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to act. Like, I wanted to express myself. And ever since I went to New York the first time and I spent every summer there, I was like, I want to live in New York City, and I want to be an actress. So I wanted to leave school and just go to New York. And my high school teacher heard that idea and she thought it was absolutely ludicrous. And she made it upon herself to sit down with me. And I still exactly remember that day because it did break my heart at that time, because she was very serious and a bit harsh in the way of, she was very much a feminist, and she was kind of saying, women fought so hard for higher education. And I was a very good student, straight A student for the most part. So she just thought throwing my life away, not getting higher education, running off to New York where, who knows, what will happen. And she probably thought at that age, you're also so vulnerable still, For me, it felt kind of disheartening because I was like, oh my God, this is like so many more years of pushing my dream and going to school. But now as an adult, I do get her point. But it was very disheartening at the time.
Yeah, look, you're not the only one, right? But obviously on the show right now you are, and you talk to the masses out there, people from all around the world who want to go to New York or Los Angeles early. And so what she was saying to you was, she wanted to protect you because you did eventually come here after you did dramas in Germany and acting in Germany for a while. You did come.
Yeah. And after I got my master's, where it was like, okay, now, I'm grown up, I can make my own decision. No, and I remember, I always thought it would be New York, but then I remember while I was in university, I suddenly felt the call of, I need to go to Los Angeles. I need to go to the West Coast. And probably it was all the TV shows that I was watching at the time, that were, influential, Melrose
Can you name a few?
Beverly Hills 90210 and all those shows where it was like, okay, West Coast. And that was, again, like I didn't know anyone. And again, I got a lot of comments on what the heck are you doing now?
Yeah.
But I remember landing in Los Angeles at night and seeing the lights. And something inside me just felt so deeply, this is home.
Yeah.
I can't, I didn't know anything yet about Los Angeles in the way of what it means. But I just felt this is going to be home.
18, 19, 20 years old?
This was at 21.
At 21. And your parents were supportive? Were your parents supportive?
Well, I didn't go at that time. I went back and I still had years for university to finish university. But my parents were always very supportive. Emotionally supportive. Like they always believed in me, and they thought that I should go for my dreams and I should go for, what my heart desires. They're very.
So when you finally came to the States, you didn't go to New York after all. You came to LA.
Well, I actually, that's a long story. I did for 6 months after, the German system is a little different, the educational system. So after high school, I went to New York City for 6 months before starting university.
Okay.
So I did kind of go there for a little bit and had a bit of my New York City adventure. But I did feel that yeah, I had to check out Los Angeles. And after my first little experience of coming here during semester break, I knew that's it.
Yeah, and as soon as you got to LA, things started happening, right? You started getting commercials and film, and a lot of things started happening.
It did take, it was actually interesting because I had a wonderful connection through a friend who connected me with a manager who was a huge talent agent, who discovered Alec Baldwin and Sigourney Weaver. And he was, getting old, but he was still taking on a couple clients. So I had him when I first came to LA, and it was wonderful. I got incredible auditions. But then 3 months after I landed in LA, he passed. Yeah. Which was devastating because then I suddenly didn't know anything because I didn't know anyone. I didn't have connections. And then I was scrambling for quite a while. It was really difficult because this town is a lot about connections. So, or you have an agent manager that believes in you. But if you don't have that and you're on your own, it's really difficult. So that kind of, that took a couple years to kind of build a team.
So how did you then go on to getting another agent, doing all that?
I think through introductions. I was in theater, I was in acting class, and one of the other actors, introduced me to their agent. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you came here, you definitely hit the ground running. A lot of things happened. And now, obviously, you're an actress, a filmmaker, this, that, whatever. Let me ask you a couple of things, and we'll get back into the acting. But what inspired you to become a filmmaker as well as an actress?
I think I always enjoyed writing. That was always something I did. Not necessarily scripts or screenplays, but that was one of the things I always loved, was writing, a lot of poetry. But it all started with, I wanted to write like the perfect comedy scene for my reel because that was missing. And so I wrote this scene, and a good friend of mine who also was, like a mentor, he's been in the industry forever, executive producer, writer, and he loved it so much. And he was like, you should turn this into a short film. This is amazing. And then it seemed absolutely daunting. How am I supposed to make a film? As an actor, you just know showing up, knowing your character, and everything before, what happens before and after is a bit unknown. You don't know all the steps and actually how much goes into it. So I thought it was absolutely insane, but I was also very intrigued and kind of excited about the idea of, oh my God, that would be amazing. And I told him, I was like, well, if I'm going to make this short film, you have to be the director. And he told me back then, he was like, everything in his mind was like, oh my God, say like no, because he was not a director. He was a, writer, producer. But he said yes. And then we teamed up and we made this film happen. Yeah. So it was. And
the film is The Cuddler.
The Cuddler, yeah.
And it's, you won awards for The Cuddler. You also had a highlight screening at the Cannes Film Festival. Tell us about that. Tell us about the story, because, you wrote it, you starred in it, you produced it. What does a storyteller and an artist mean to you?
To me, it's everything that I kind of think, I'm pursuing and what I want to do. Yeah, being a storyteller, and the Cuddler was interesting because it was a rom-com, very tongue-in-cheek, and very reverse gender roles and breaking the fourth wall, which made it very special. And I was thinking if it gets into one film festival, I'll be so happy. This is my first short film. And then it just, kept on getting into more film festivals and winning awards. And it was unbelievable. And people would come up to me at the film festivals and, tell me how it spoke to them. And, women would be like, yeah, I remember having a Cuddler like that, and, sharing their stories. And I really enjoyed also communing with other filmmakers. And it suddenly also is very empowering, because as an actor, you can only do, a certain amount of, being a good, performer. But as a filmmaker, you can really tell a whole, you can tell the stories you want to tell and choose them. So instead of them coming to you as an actor and getting an offer, you can go and create the stories you feel you need to tell.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And the Cuddler is on platforms now, still out there. People can check it out. It's a fun and fantastic film, funny, and I mean, you did a great job on it. And so, doing anything like that, that's a female-driven story. I know you like to have female-driven stories. Can you talk about that for a second? Because you really do celebrate the difference between men and women.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, you do. You do, and you love the female story. Talk about that, because I think it's really important, especially from someone who is a writer and a good writer like yourself.
I just, I feel we don't have enough female-driven stories. Women tell stories differently. We experience a lot differently just because we are, differently wired. We even, there's enough neurological research of women think differently, and experience a lot in a different way. And so I do believe we need more female-driven stories. So if I can be part of that as a storyteller, then that's very, very beautiful and very fulfilling.
Yeah, I think it is. You and your writing partner actually have a new psychological thriller. I know you and I have been talking about it, and Chrysalis. What do you look for in a collaborator for some new project?
Yeah. So I do have my writing and producing partner, which I'm very, very grateful for, because it is not easy to find someone who you can write with. Writing in general can be a very lonely experience. You can just sit there by yourself, creating all these images and storylines. So I'm very grateful that I have my writing partner, because we are good writing together, which is that's a rhythm you have to find. So that, and then, now we're looking to package our feature film, find the right female director, because it is a female-driven psychological thriller, and then we have another male part for the male lead. And we're looking for people who believe in our project, who want to come on board and support to make it happen. We have a certain amount that we already raised, and so we're getting closer. It's as any indie filmmaker knows, it's not an easy story. You have to be very passionate. You have to really love it. And I think the most important is you really have to believe in what your story is needs to be told. And I think our story is very deep. It's a female-driven story, yes, but it's also very very universal, because it is about loss and grief, but also how things you suppress can come up in distorted ways, and identity loss, how fragile our identity is to loss, and ultimately a transformation.
That's right.
And this is all a little abstract. I mean, I can tell you the storyline, which is not as abstract, but it's a deep, there's it has magical realism in it. And I always love that, where there is the audience will not be sure the whole time what is real and what is not. So there are these elements, because you are experiencing a lot that is happening to the lead female, what she's going through. And
Well, you're all about empowerment and expression, and believing and uplifting and inspiring others to create positive change. And that a lot of that goes into your work. All the time I've known you, and just the talks that we've had and everything. What's your favorite part about creating?
Favorite part? You mean you want me to tell you between writing, producing, acting?
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't think I can answer that. There are different.
Okay, we got to go, everybody. See you later.
No, it's over. No.
Finally.
Yeah. There is something really beautiful about being able to deeply immerse yourself into a character, where you, especially if it's a character that has a lot of layers, and you can really go there. I think it's every actor's dream to have play a character where you can go beyond, really lose yourself and experience the deep emotions of the person that you are in that specific part. But then when you write, you can create all of these characters too. It's just different but I think being an actor too, I can really make these characters multidimensional, because I also already in my mind think about how it would be to be that character.
Yeah, well said. You've had a success has gone up and down. We talk about independent filmmaking. How do you personally embrace uncertainty in our industry, or in life, but in our industry especially?
Well, you have to definitely not take anything personal, which is hard. It's so easy to say, oh, don't take it personal. I think every actor had probably more rejection in a year than most people will have in their entire life. It's very much part of the everyday experience. Most parts you go out for, you will not get. And I went through phases where it really affected me and made me feel bad. And I think that's where spirituality and the mental mindset really comes in for me, that you create this, really learn other things that give you joy and that you go to, that help you to not just see if you're working or not working, that is all who you are. So you build an inner strength that at your core, you have that self-worth outside of if you're working or not working, which is a daunting thing. So it is really important that for me, it's, spiritual practice that I do every day that keeps me aligned. And, I still will have times where, things really get to me, but I think it's very important. The mental mind, like the what helps to not mentally, there's a word I'm looking for. You have to become mentally very strong. Mm-hmm. That's very much part.
It's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
No, you have to. You describe yourself as an empath.
Well, I learned that about myself. I didn't jump out of the womb and say, hey, I'm an empath. I learned that, and you usually learn that the hard way, because as an empath, you always feel everything. You have to learn. You go into a room and you feel other people's emotions. Your antennas are so strong that you always kind of already know what people want and need, and what happens with that is if you don't build strong boundaries, you often can feel very overwhelmed and don't realize that you're doing things that you don't really want to do. You're doing it because you know that will make another person happy, or that's what the other people really desire and want. So it is a superpower, I think, being an empath, because it's like you have that extra input that you get. It's like that fine-tuned antenna, but you also really need to learn to not let that take over, because otherwise you lose yourself. So you need to find strong boundaries, and that's a process. That's nothing that you automatically have as an empath. You sometimes don't know what is really your voice or what you're taking in from your environment.
Yeah. No, you're in every conversation we've had, I mean, you can be really, it's very informative, and you're so knowledgeable about it. And you're very knowledgeable about astrology as well. I think it's really important to talk about that and how that fits into our lives.
Yeah.
I can't talk about it. I'll have you talk about it.
You don't want to tell me a little about what the planets are doing?
So, this Leo, I don't know.
You're a Leo. Okay, I guess. But you're not just your sun sign. That's the first thing I always tell people. It's so much more complex. The time you were born, that is your divine soul blueprint. And you will have that for your entire life. And when I do a reading, when I look at someone's chart, I feel very honored, because that is the soul of this person that they're letting me look into, and the planets are really, to me, they're consciousnesses that speak through us. We are. And that's what I think is just so beautiful. Astrology is a very ancient language. It's been around forever. And then at some point they started making it sound like it's just a horoscope, your sun sign, which is, that is just like one little particle. And that's like when you look at a chart, you see all the different elements, because it's the exact time that's why you need to know the exact time when you were born, because then you really see where everything exactly was, all the planets and your rising and your moon sign. And it's beautiful, because I feel it can really assist in life as a guide. I don't see it in the way, oh my God, it's fated, now I'm destined for that and I can't, there is a soul direction, and through reading you can learn more about your unique soul path and mission. But mainly it's about also knowing the energies you're working with in this lifetime. Because I look at life, it's, we're here, it's school, we're an earth school, or soul. This is, yes, we have this body in this lifetime, but there is something much more ancient, and that is our soul. And that, as I believe, reincarnates through many lifetimes, and that is very connected to your astrology, divine soul blueprint. And that understanding that journey can also make you understand more why certain things happened in your life or didn't happen. It was very humbling once I had my first chart reading, and I remember crying because I was like, now everything made so much more sense. Certain things and moments and feelings, because it is really, when you have a really good reading, you feel like someone is looking into your soul. Even something that you didn't even realize, but you feel seen and heard on such a deep level, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
And then when you look at transits, you can understand more the energies you're currently working with, which also is like a heads up, like, look, don't freak out. Maybe right now is not the time. I know you really want to do that, but this is, maybe you wait. So that's where it can also, be, a bit of your counselor.
Yeah. Do you do readings now still?
Mm-hmm. I'm very passionate about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Something that.
Well, and look, we still have a lot of people. I want to make sure that if there's any collaborators for your film or any whatever, if you want to give out your information. So, do you have a page that people could go to, or email?
So right now I'm doing a reconstruction of my website, but probably the easiest right now is my IG handle, which is at Karola Raimond.
You want to?
Well, it's my name, so it's
yeah. It's not my name.
And then it's KAROLA RAIMOND.
What are you really excited in work, in life?
I would say more than ever now, I'm very, what is the word? My time is sacred. Who I spend my time with. I'm much more picky about what I will do or not do. It is, I would say, more in my truth than ever before. More really trusting my inner voice and what really matters in life and what doesn't. But that's probably part of, as we mature and life experiences, but that's also the beauty, the wisdom that comes from life experiences. And that, a lot of what excites me now is really about doing the creative projects that I love, and with people, that's where it's so important. Like, who do you work with? As we all know, all you need is one rotten apple on set and it turns into a nightmare,
Right.
The shooting experience. So really working with wonderful people and, spending as much time with the people you love and making, in any way where what I share can inspire people. That, when I hear after someone, sees my film and says, it really touched me. It really helped me to understand something I've been moving through, or it really inspired me to go out and, try something I never would have done otherwise, or in any way. I think that's really to have, succeeded in life. It's not about, and I know that sounds so redundant about it, because what truly matters at the end, and it's about how many hearts did you touch, how, any moment. And that's what you're doing, Jeff, with your podcast. You want to reach people, you want to touch people, you want to hopefully help them, support them, inspire them. And I mean, what a beautiful world this could be if more people really kind of come together in that way,
You're so right. But you're so loved. We've been friends for 15 plus years. I know I alluded to that when this whole thing started, but Karola was trying to get me into another Porsche back in the day when she was working for Porsche. But you've done a lot, and you're out there, you're creating, and you're producing, and you're acting. As a matter of fact, today you had. Can you talk about auditions that you had today?
Well, I mean, these days, as any actor knows, actually going into the room, having an in-person audition is like, that's one in a million. That's like really fun and cool, because that's the part that has changed so much since the pandemic. You just don't experience, bumping into other acting colleagues at an audition and getting paired up and, being in the room and meeting, chatting with the casting director. So yeah, that is always special.
Yeah, we've talked about on the show before how it used to be running one audition to the next, but now it's a lot of self-tape and what have you. What do you do for fun when you're not creating?
I don't have fun.
You don't have fun.
I'm very serious, Jeff.
Maybe you travel a little.
Well, yeah.
You're very serious.
Yes, of course. I love traveling. I love good food. I love, being with my girls and being silly and, getting dressed up and doing, anything creative, fun. I love being by the beach. I absolutely love just the energy of the beach, even just walking by the beach, feeling, seeing a beautiful sunset, hiking, being out in nature, walking barefoot. I love that. And, being with my loved ones. And I think one of the things, and I have to start focusing more on that, just being silly. We're taking life often way too serious. And yes, we are right now specifically. It's hard times. A lot of people are going through a lot, and we can sometimes forget, to take things, from the lighter side, and try even within everything to sometimes just find the humor and just laugh about it. Even when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look at life, what traits or habits can you directly take back to the days growing up in Frankfurt? Or as an only child in Frankfurt?
Or from my parents, or growing up in Germany. Yeah. Well, definitely, my word is everything. Like, I'm very much, when I give my word, that was kind of hard when I first moved to LA, because I had to learn that everyone in LA, especially in the industry, thinks like that, I mean, a lot of people do. That's how you kind of find your tribe, because the ones who, but yeah, I had to learn and to not take everything for, as the bare truth, what people would tell me. But that is very important. So staying true to who you are, if something doesn't feel right, to not, because of whatever group pressure, what, you feel what the people would prefer you doing, and to really, stay in your own truth and in your authentic self. Because even if this project, sometimes we have to say no to certain things, even if it seems like an opportunity and it would help us in our career. But if it doesn't really resonate, or something is off, you feel is off, I think you're better off really staying true to yourself, because I do believe the universe works in the way where something else will come where, if I would have done that, then this wouldn't have happened, or I wouldn't have this opportunity. So that's very essential.
Isn't that all about one door closes, another one opens?
What's that?
Isn't it one door closes?
Yes.
And another one opens?
Sliding doors.
Yeah, sliding doors, yeah.
Wow.
What advice?
I have to put in my battery.
You have to do what?
I have to put in the plug because my battery, it's about to die.
Oh, is it dying out?
Can I?
Okay, well, we're how much time do we have? 2 seconds?
Yeah, something. I could go really fast.
Okay. Hey, it's been great having you on the show.
Let me get it.
I guess that's her way of saying bye, but that's okay, because we were rolling it down anyways. I thank you so much for coming on the show. I think the audience, it was a little different show because we got into a lot of different things here. But thank you, Karola Raimond. Check her out on Instagram. Thank you all for rolling with Olin. I appreciate you so much. Thanks to Source and Cast, our sponsor. And, just continue tuning in. We've got a lot more shows for you. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.
I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you for having me on. This was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Karola. Thank you so much.